Alright, so I didn't really film like the cleaning up of this head or anything, but I'm starting to do the head, tear down at least. So I've got this nifty little tool. They make all different kinds of ones. I think this was a Pro Form. It'll do LS3 too. You can see that the left side there is slotted. That's for like an offset LS3 style. Basically what you do is you put it in place of the rockers, tap it with a dead blow. A lot of times you hit these and it'll break the keepers loose inside here. Sometimes it won't, especially on a baked on engine. Run it down, pull the keepers out, and then you pull the springs. You take these nice factory GM springs and you throw them in the garbage. What you're left with is a factory valve seal, and this will not work with a dual spring like a BTR because the dual spring has a basically like a foot, I don't know what they actually call it, but it's a machined washer that you put down and then it locates where the coils go so they don't bind. So you got to pull these off, switch them out. I'll show you guys what the process looks like of trying to do one of these with one hand. I'm doing this with a impact. Some people say not to because you can strip them. You don't need to go hard to the paint. Just, you know, do enough to keep it in place. You pull this socket. Oh, baby, we got two. Most of the time these won't actually do what you want them to. You can see the keepers stayed up here and here. Sometimes you gotta get a little vicious with the hammer trying to get them to pop out, and that's not really recommended, and I'm not going to show you guys what that looks like because I'll be called a hack, but it's been done before and it'll probably be done again. So also, if you're going to actually do these, have a magnet, a small magnet to catch these, and you won't have the hard time that I'm doing trying to get the thing out. Unfortunately, I can't find any of my magnets. By the way, the new kit comes with new keepers, so just go ahead and throw them away from where you're working. Okay, so that one was not bad. Hopefully I got half of it on camera. So you can actually see here that the valve seats are really not that bad. I assume by what we found for seals and how these valve seats look that they'd recently been done. I don't know why they would have. The truck that I pulled it out of did not look like anything special, that's for sure. But they do look good, and even the valves, it's not focusing where they're crap. Even the valves look good. We're still gonna go ahead and clean them And I'll show you guys here in just a second how I do go ahead and clean up the faces of them. Basically, you're going to need valve grinding compound and a drill, and then you just lock onto the back here of the valve, put your grinding compound on the seat there, and then just use that to kind of, you know, lap itself into there. They do make tools to do this by hand, but the problem is these are hardened seats, so it would take you at least an hour to do one valve, because you don't get enough friction into it. And by the way these look, they're fine, so we're just going to go ahead and clean them up just a bit, and I'll show you what that looks like when I get everything set up over here. Okay, so you go ahead and put not near as much as I put on there, but I kind of blobbed it out. I'm going to set this here, get the valve started back in the head. Okay, so what you want to do is just push it in, come to the back here, you can see that the valve is protruding out. Hook up everything. I do is going to be a pain today with one hand. You just want to kind of gently, there. And now you've got a link between them two, the two of them. Dang it, my thing come undone. Now, this is, you know, a lot of work, but if you think you have a bent valve, this will become very apparent that you do have a bent valve if you do, because you'll be getting a wear pattern on the valve when you're trying to sorry, lost my train of thought. You'll get an uneven wear pattern on your valve, like you'll have this side over here from here to here is machined, or like, you know, nice and scuffed up, and this side isn't. Dead giveaway, you got a bent valve, and it doesn't take much of a bent valve to be able to not see it. I know I'm using a dirty rag, but I'll be cleaning these heads before I reassemble. And yeah, it's already got them shiny. Let me get some brake cleaning on my stuff. Yeah, looks great. It doesn't take much. These valves are really hard to make much difference on, but the seat you can really tell how it looks compared to this one. Let me get a little bit of lighting. Just a little bit of lighting. And then this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this head up, do the whole thing. Won't take long. Like I said, it looks like somebody's went through it. And then clean the exhaust and intakes out, all the runners out, and then we'll go ahead and start reassembling. So I have both from an engine kit that I found, but I just wanted to show you guys the difference. This is the old style. Usually what comes on the heads, they're all one piece. Like I said, they got the coil or the valve spring locators on them. The BTRs have their own, basically they have their own seal, and then they have, let me move this. And then they have their own locator, kind of like what I took off, but not really. These are actually, I think, machine washers, so. We're going to be going ahead and putting these in. Got my head all cleaned out, all the debris, everything off. All the compound that I just had on it, I got off. I didn't show you guys what I used, but if you go to any local auto parts, they'll have or can order valve grinding compound, which is what I used to go ahead and relap these valves and valve seats. But they turned out great. They already looked a lot better than what the last set of heads I did. Alright, well, I'll finish cleaning up here and then I will show you guys how to install the new springs. So this is that valve seat. No, not a valve seat, but the spring seat. We got all the other ones on. It just slips on. Then you put these valve seals on. I'm going to lay that down and then reposition the camera to do that. Alright, so this is probably not the professional way to do this, but this is the way I do it every time. And actually, these valve seals are very cheap. I usually keep spares, like you buy, if you do a bunch of these heads, then you just keep spares on stock. This is the easiest way I found to do it, is keeping the valve in there but loose. As you can see, this valve seal is not pressed on yet. This one is. But I just take a 12 millimeter 12 point deep well, give her, you'll be able to see that's all the way on. You'll be able to feel that there's a difference. And then you go ahead and check all the way around to make sure that it didn't rip the seal, and it didn't. A lot of people will tell you to take the valves out to do this. I feel that the valve actually holds it centered in there so it goes on straight. Let me readjust the camera again. That better? Yep. But yeah, I feel like the valve actually holds it in there straight so it doesn't drive on crooked, because if you just take the valve out and try to drive this on there, sometimes it'll go on crooked and egg shape it and it won't hold on there. And they actually do make a tool for this that bolts in here, and then it just goes over top of this and then presses down and you just kind of leverage it. But I haven't ever needed it, I guess, so I just do it this way. Show you another one. Just make sure you don't use the box end. Okay, Another good one. That's pretty much all I've got to show you guys on this one. So just make sure it's seated the whole way, and make sure you don't force it. It don't take much to break these. Like I said, good idea to have a second set of these on hand. The first time I did some, I ruined a couple, so that's why I bought extras, and it's been nice because I've lost a few. But yep. So lastly, before I go ahead and put the springs on, I go ahead and take the valve, put a little dab of assembly lube on the end. This is just to kind of coat the guide. And honestly, it's not a brand new engine, so it doesn't really need this. But just for extra precautions, we're going to do that anyways. With new valve seals, it didn't look like this one was burning any through the valve guides anyways, but new valve seal is always good to just kind of give it a little bit of lubrication. This is probably the easiest thing to do one-handed that's still in frame. If you guys haven't ever tried to film yourself doing something one-handed with your hand holding a camera, it's not fun. All right. This was an EGR set of heads, so the intake's just nasty. Alright, so we're going to flip it and we're going to start installing springs. So what you're going to need is a spring compressor like mine. Mine uses the factory lifter bracket or rocker bracket. And this is kind of a pain when installing them. The height of these springs unbound, you can see, I think you can see, yeah, it's actually just as high as the bottom of this. So, I know where the foot of the one is. Oh, here it is. You just gotta get it started, leave it loose, lift it up, and then I run both of these in. I'm missing something though. You guys let me slide. I was wondering why it went in so easy, but I didn't have the retainer plates in there. These obviously only go in one way. The one there is the top. Go ahead and slide this in here. Okay. There we are. Now this is probably the most tedious process. And probably the one I look forward to the least. Basically, the reason why I don't like it is because the rocker mount is on a plane like this. The valves are on a plane like this. this here is pushing straight down on it. So you have to kind of favor the thing towards the exhaust side of the head in order to get to where you can actually put this retainer centered and then put your keepers in. So we'll give it a go. I keep setting stuff down and can't find it. You kind of just gotta, you know, adjust it and do what you can while it's down there. I didn't bump you guys out of frame. Okay, there we are. Now, there's no real easy way to get these keepers in. You just gotta fiddle with it, and sometimes it takes a lot of fiddling. If you have the exhaust side facing towards you, you can kind of work the valve up and down with your finger. The intake's a little bit longer, so you most generally you can't do that with the intake. That's not what I wanted to do. There it is. As I said, you gotta pry and twist and get it where you need it. I wish I would have filmed the last one. The last one went out a lot easier, but this is pretty much what you can look forward to if you're going to do this. You might get a few of them that you're lucky with, but it'll be extremely rare to get a whole set of heads that just go in easy. Okay, so like I said, you got to kind of work it around, but once you get it to where you want it, you can just go ahead and push it down, and you can see that one's, let me get a light, you can see the keepers are in there. I'll do the other one. Obviously these keepers are directional, so go ahead and put them in the, put them in the correct way. I keep trying to push this valve up and the valve is actually sinking. Yeah, I definitely can't push. Okay, so now that I've got both in, you just go ahead and relieve tension on it. You can see they're captured. A good idea to do is to take a dead blow and hit them, you know, not sideways or anything, but just to make sure that they're seated. It's better to have a failure right now than it is when you start your engine and it drops the valve. So you can see all four of these are seated. Not really much else to do except finish the rest of them. I think I'm going to call this a video. I'm sure it's way longer than normal, so I don't really like producing a super long video, so I'm going to go ahead and finish it out here. I appreciate you guys watching. On the next video, I think we'll probably be stacking these cleaning these heads out the rest of the way, and then stacking them on to the engine, torquing them on. I'll show you guys the special head gasket that I got for the notched head to run a MLS gasket, and then a few other things that right off the top of my head though. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you on the next one, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't, if you like the content. If you are subscribed, please remember to ring the bell button. YouTube kind of changed stuff around, so it doesn't notify all my subscribers unless they have that rung. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you.